answer and making time, Master Mabekano. Before I read my speech, I can't send baby and be here. And Regional Minister name Meba Dina Pomba and almost say, and a pachoya can't the work rat and so Messama Prince Mecana. And this are no news, be a mechanism Fufrobia, Air Dinkakra. As I said, no cranny me catch almost say, Galamsey, ye can, and I damn have me chimu, ye chimu send me a year, you are nature me and son. A mobile 30% in Moma ye Galamsey Nina. Ye near to them, hey. See a G and watching ya, ye chimu, move back 30% and not any Moma ye Galamsey. Now, ya nkano krenwa ye beda da ho e be ye conference ya be ha say me tie ya o ma be ye Galamsey ade ba ko se nanan mo ne twa asase ne maaye o kan o ye nim ha no mo kan na bia o tu bia o twa asase o de ye Galamsey bia wo so wa ye Galamsey bia wo so wa ubu ahofo se wa ye bone Uko krom na sampa dia asase amase enye Galamsey na te ho a na hini be na wudie eye bone enti mum ye hweye enra mu ka sama me ka sama be ka me kan sem bebra ko fast ma banti meja no ma when you come to Galamsey that is an albatross on our head. It's rather unfortunate that it's happened this way. Ghana was known as the Gold Coast, and therefore it was known. But during that time, it wasn't like the Galamsey that we are talking about. Many ones people were doing hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It was there. But unfortunately, it's gotten to a point where people are now using equipment that and all that, and doesn't care about, they don't care about the environment or anything. But the question is, who is in control of that security around the area? From the district level to the highest level. We are all talking about Galamsey. The government set up the military police to do it. Why have we not been able to stop it? So why? That's the point. Why haven't we been able to stop it? If you create a system where we say we will stop it, to the extent that the president says, I've put my presidency on the line, and yet it is going on, then to me, something is wrong somewhere.
Sure.
So we need to review why this is happening. Polluting our waters. And case in point, I came back and hear that a Chinese woman who was supposedly deported is back in this country also doing Galamsey again. Who allowed her to come? Is it that our borders are porous? Or what? So what happened?
Sure.
And people know who are doing the Galamsey. They know the people are working there in the communities with those people. Unfortunately, unemployment may be the problem. Fine, but that is not to say that we have to destroy environments.
Sure.
Unemployment could be a problem. Fine, so people in communities will say, I don't have any job to do, and therefore, but that's not the alternative. So it's something that is facing all of us that we need to find out what went wrong. But to me, why can't Galamsey be stopped? Because I'm sure people are also involved, that they know and have some authority somewhere that I don't think that should be the case. So but if they go there and meet the Galamsey people with gold and all those things, that what happens? Where's the gold? Where's the money? Who is taking it?
Sure.
Let's face realities here. So that the concession or whatever it is given by them, by the authorities in Accra. The chiefs don't give concessions to people. The chiefs are there and the people come, they say that we've gotten a document from Accra to say that we've been given a license to come and mine. Who consulted the chief? for him to even be able to supervise where he's going.
Jump.
And the Constitution says the minerals under is being held in trust for the people by the president. So whoever gave that person the license to go and should be responsible to supervise the degradation of the land. Na na mummen so yen kase yen so ayem fom so bi. Na za ba bia wotie no wo ho ne nana wo ye Galamsey. Se wunya sika ne bi firi mu dia. Adeti ukọ ho no de 21 report am obi. One na report man. Wasase a wote so no ayetu ensuo no ahonkrofo nom no. Eseye no wo ye ho de be. Wa waka ho de be. Ampasa aban na achọchọ krata de ani omo obi ka nti won so ti wono ansuo no asay no ahonkrofo nsuo no wo so ayede me kura wababu mama ne eda me mpo wababu mama ne eda se nana me nsuo nkrofo kura etu say no na me nkrofo nya nsuo no wa free bompata wababu mama ne wa free joso wababu mama ne eda wo kura wabeka ho asem yes, also our honor. I'm the coronation Sunday as yes, a cronin to Unhuni. Ya Kaban Yanana Cadias and yet, woman, so far soldier for call, Yakonam Ho, na young Ryan, Abaya Casa, and Crawford to one a mile Sicanoa. Dear Quachino, yes, who to Galamsey and who Fina with John. One was Cabio Dito. Or Pajma and Nubia fans or may. The gold no Cohio. I don't know no Yanchino. The auto great than no idea ne caterpillar. The original one now Colano John who scout the coto a day. Who scout the coto grader. One at all grader no man. I don't know the ancient. Near Kucha photo will be a John Natibia Frafranoa, Libra, Waji 200 as a 300. Yes, he had Galamsey. Which how could such an idea no? Your finance, you know, a year to go to know one way and then. I don't want the engine. And she a bad some say, nature, Mamma men pen not there be a moon any fun. And contumpo some no. Auntie Galamsey, we are 20 in Nimcroft for a church, go to a fine echo. God knows you Nigana, a cock. To one edge gold no bobo no de cro. No, I didn't see a finance. No, no, you're aware any enchino. Uchinwa, Galamsey no beja, ne feeding in our nature. Never yes, you want to. Nazi a coach Galamsey, Marco, a mansio, and Colebi, and the TV Guillermo, yes, he achieves a Galamsey. What's that change one who go to be our no? The gold no fine.
You're here on Newsfile, and this is Joy. No to Galamsey. Now, you just heard Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II, and he's been speaking for a while. First at a stakeholders conference that was organized by the government through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources at the KNUST. So you heard there, where he said that if they were to be frank about it, the people in the gathering, a certain percentage of them would be complicit in the Galamsey. And he said the chiefs were involved. There was no doubt about it. Then he got visited recently by the US ambassador. And he repeated that chiefs definitely are complicit. There may be a job issue and need to be addressed, unemployment. Then, this very latest outburst, you hear him speaking the language of the streets, what we have said on radio and TV too often. He says the chiefs are complicit if they do not receive monies from the kingpins. Why do they allow the devastation and destruction to go on in their backyards? He proceeds to suggest to them that it is clear, especially to government, that if you are arresting the hirelings, those jobless youth who are looking for money by day, they call it, they do, you are not solving any problem. You know the real people behind the Galamsey, the ones who have money and can afford the expensive equipment for the mining. They are the ones you should target. So that's what he has said in the very recent one. So I'll come to the studio right here shortly, but let me go to the northeast region, the Nankuruma community of the Mogduri districts. When I mentioned Boli, I'm sure some of you were surprised. What's the gold there? Well, there's gold in almost every region in Ghana. Over 10 of the regions are have gold mining places. This district is a hotspot for Galamsey activities. We are told that the illegal miners were engaged or have been engaged in open pit mining with the involvement of foreign nationals, mostly Chinese. Now, guess what happened in the area? People were falling into the pit and dying. And that is what brought the awareness. The Regional Security Council, with the support of the traditional authorities, are now chasing these illegal miners out and have positioned security personnel on routine patrols in the affected communities to ensure that the illegal miners do not return. How effective have they been able to do this? Let's go to speak to the regional minister, Northeast Regional Minister, Yidana Zakaria. Thank you very much for making time to join us this morning on Newsfile, sir.
Thank you for reaching out to me.
How bad is the situation of illegal mining within your jurisdiction, and spend some time to tell us about the steps that you have taken to ensure that it does not continue?
Thank you very much. Good morning to you and to your viewers. If you ask how bad it is, I would say it is that bad. But when the Chinese Galamseyers were in the district to do mining, it came with heavy equipment and they destroyed the land. The gaping holes that they left, I should tell you that if the Mampruma Assembly were to put their resources together for 10 years to reclaim the environment, they may not be able to successfully do that. That is how bad the situation is. They also came with some chemicals that they used to blast underground. When they were tested out, those chemicals are contained in large fertilizer bags lying in the bush. And the danger is that these can explode, especially when there is fire. As for the use of chemicals and the damage to the environment, it's something that I may not be able to quantify in terms of the cost involved and the health implications. So, truly speaking, what the Chinese left behind is a threat to human life and to animals. Because those gaping holes that they left were the places that the people went to see if they can also salvage something. In the process, the ground caved in, and unfortunately, 5 young men lost their precious gift of life. So that is the situation.
I hear you say you are looking for help. Is that it? To reclaim those lands?
Exactly. If we get support, we will need to reclaim those lands for people to farm and to even get the vegetation restored. Otherwise, 1,000 years to come, no tree can grow there because they actually rip open the earth carried the soil somewhere to extract gold, and they didn't find any need to come back with the same soil to fill the earth. So that is the situation.
Are you saying that the mining that was going on was all illegal and you have effectively, driven those who were involved away?
I can say on authority that all those who were involved in mining did not produce genuine documents from the Minerals Commission or from the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. So all their operations were illegal.
So you made some arrests or everybody ran away?
At the time, when His Excellency the President gave a signal that the nation was not going to tolerate such impunity, the Chinese Galamseyans ran away. But the big question is how they managed those days to operate at the blind side of officialdom. That is the big question.
The police who you ensured were patrolling the place, are they still there?
They do regular patrols. And we have the support of the traditional authorities. And because the Nanguma community is the place they do the mining, and that is where the people live, one can just sneak out in the land to do mining. It is not like it's a distant place where people go to mine and come back home. So where they do the mining is the community itself. And I'm told that the gold in Nangoma is one of the highest grades in this country. And so people think that they can just go about doing this illegal mining and get away from it. So the traditional authorities are now worried. The rate at which they destroy the environment, what is the future of the youth? Because the same land that they would have farmed is the land that they dig, carry the stones away to extract gold and leave holes everywhere. That they say they cannot tolerate. And so with the tacit support of the traditional authorities and with the regular patrols by the national security operatives, I am very sure that we will be able to leave this in the past.
Okay, we wish you well, and thank you very much for joining us. I hope that some of your colleagues are also listening and may take some lessons from your approach in stopping it, and you say, as far as you are concerned, it's completely stopped in the Nkrumah community. You are very certain about that? Okay, thank you very much. And that is the Northeast Regional Minister, Yidana Zakaria, and we were informed about how there was some illegal mining activity going on there. It's okay, we thank him very much for his time. Going on there and what they have done. There have been open pit mining that was going on and a lot of gaping holes left and people fell in and died. He just mentioned some 5 young men who died in the situation. And that actually was the clarion call that woke them, gave them a rude awakening to get, their act together. And collectively, he says they have stopped it and security continue to patrol the place routinely. Well, that seems to be good news. Let me come to the studio now. And I want to start with Nana Ansah-Quao. And Nana, first, listening to Otumfuo, we intentionally decided to play him, track him the way he has been speaking about the issue. I heard you speak on the Super Morning Show, and I wish we could just cut all of what you said and play it back this morning. What do you say about what Otumfuo, he's clearly now very angry?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you to our viewers and listeners. So first of all, I would have to pardon and seek permission, because when Otumfuo speaks, I dare not summarize or speak. But this is just for TV.
That's fine.
It's not as though I'm speaking because Otumfuo has spoken.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm breaking protocol for a good reason. For a good reason. And after listening to Otumfuo, I wonder why we didn't even close the show and then started playing music to the end. But then people are watching, so we have to continue.
Right.
But Samson, because of your platform, permit me to just go a little bit back and then I come back to Otumfuo. See, the fundamental issue with all the menace confronting us is the speed with which the population is growing. But somehow, as a country, it's a very taboo subject for us. If you look at our economy and the number of new babies we put in a year, there's absolutely no way you can give them health, road, sanitation, education, before December, before we put in another 900,000 new babies, of which a great percentage is coming from the lower end of the spectrum, where the financial muscle is not too strong. Politicians have taken advantage, so you may free, everything is free, because they've seen that a lot of the people, when you say free, get excited. But just to give viewers an idea, you take a country like South Korea. They have a population of approximately 52 million. Every year, they have about 300,000 new births. They have an economy worth 1.8 trillion. You take a country like UK, they are twice our population, about 69 million approximately. They have 750 new births a year, so we are doing about 100,000 more than them. And they have an economy of 2.2 trillion. Now, here we are with 31 million. We are doing 900,000 new babies with 77 billion GDP, out of which all of it is for the international guys. I mean, the Newmonts, the MTNs, that, in Akan, they say, I'm sure you'll be able to facing, don't walk past some of these cornfields and start growing canines, thinking, the corn is growing. But that's what we're doing. We are walking past people's cornfields and we are growing teeth. This corn is going to sumptuous. But when harvest time comes, he takes all to his house. Until we come back to the table and say, listen, family planning and education to understand that gone are the days when one man had to cultivate 100 acres on his own. And so if you have 3 wives, all of them giving 6 children, you could farm correctly. Today, 1 man and 1 daughter can cultivate that same amount, where the daughter is even driving the tractor.
Right.
So if we don't change, and I'm saying that, what we, the traditional rulers, are refusing to understand is that the principles have not changed, but the times have changed. And so the reasons for which our forefathers did certain things, the thing is still value, but maybe the reason you can change it. But the purpose, you cannot change it. And so that's why we have arrived here. Greed and survival. Like Otumfuo was saying, the guy with the big shot who can supply the machines and everything is greed. But the guy in the pit, muddy and digging, is a survival issue. Today, approximately about 3.5 million people are digging up and down the country. Even if tomorrow we were successful, what do you do with 3.5 million people overnight? They have no skill. They have no skill. All of them have some sort of a basic education, but nearly a great percentage of them are unemployable.
No, they are graduate, jobless people around, though.
Yeah, you see, and that's even graduate who is employable, let alone somebody who just go and dig out of this mud. Where are you taking them? So if we don't start addressing this population issue,
right,
and we are putting in all these babies year in, year out, even if money wasn't an issue, assuming money was no issue, how many schools, hospitals, doctors, teachers can you physically train per year to look after this? Assuming money wasn't an issue. That's why you build an E-block today and tomorrow it's full. You build a polyclinic today, tomorrow it's full. You should tell you that it's not normal. And I'm sure most of us listening and you here have traveled before. You live in an area, maybe Harrow. The same school in Harrow has been there for 30 years. All they do is increase the technology, the security, enhance the school. They don't go and build Harrow 2, Harrow 3, Harrow G block, Harrow 4 block. No. Why? Because the population is just like a steady flow. So we must look at that. Then we come back to where we are today. And on Super Morning Show, I was saying that, see, Nananom had all these rules and regulations that governed us. Samson, in everything you do in the palace, you should do it 3 times. You knock 3 times, ago, ago, ago. Even if they're going to pour a drink into your glass, it's 1, 2, 3. Everything was done in 3s to constantly remind you, the Nana, that where you sit, those unborn, those living, and those who have departed, you owe a responsibility to them. Oh, Yabusumsem. What have you replaced it with? So that we remember that as we live on this land, somebody would come and also occupy it. How come is it that we came and inherited 1,001 water bodies in this country, mint condition? Waterfalls, lake, ponds, rivers, streams, 1,001. We inherited them pristinely. Meanwhile, the country was called Gold Coast, which means they were mining gold. And today, this is where we are. The more we educate ourselves, the more we say everything they did was heathenism. Every river was personified. Either it was a male or a female. And I told a story about the Lake Volta. There's a portion of it that is considered twin. It's a male and a female. And the male comes during the rainy season and he's supposed to be the gentle soul. In the dry season, the female comes, the river bursts its banks and is very violent, and so you don't mess with it. It was just a way to tell you that, listen, the undercurrent during the dry season is too much. And so be careful. Don't go into the river on Mondays or Tuesdays or Wednesdays or whatever set days that they did. So we threw all these things away. And we got ourselves degrees, PhDs, these professors, English. And then look at us. And look at us. Whoever was able to coin the phrase Bejimibre, the foolish era. So psychologically, we all think that things of the old were the foolish things. Psychologically, things of the old were the foolish things. And so as soon as it's anything of the old, you just rubbish it and throw it away. But anytime you talk of culture, you know, it's one of the most, another unpopular subject. But something, I bet you, it is absolutely impossible to move forward as a country outside of our God-given culture. It is nearly impossible.
So you, the chiefs, are the custodians of all of this.
Yeah.
What are you doing? That is the question.
I raised my hand and said, we have let the side down. Something, we have let the side down. There are some chiefs, when you say culture, they limit it to drumming and dancing. When the president is coming, they play kente for 5 minutes, just culture. Something, to digress a little bit, as an African child, for you not to be called a bastard, you must be named by a man. Whether you're married to your mother or not, you must be named. That name is borrowed from somebody who did something good, positive in life. So Samson, the way you are, by all means, somebody will say, Samson, I want to name you after my son. Why? The way you've hosted this show, the way you've conducted yourself. If you agree, and they lend that name to that boy or girl, the parents and the community, because when the community is told the reason why Kofi is now going to be called Anyenini, Kofi Anyenini, it's because he's being named after something who did that. Everybody in the community, anytime Kofi goes away, hey, lawyer, and you Subansa, lawyer, behave well. Everybody in community, hey, lawyer, behave well. That's not how Mr. Anyenini behaved. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given his name to you. Kofi then is aware that because I am living with the borrowed name, I must be upright. Even if I'll do something miscreant, it has to be backdoor. But openly, I cannot misbehave. So you see, culture is not just to beat some kente here, or kente here or there. So our preservation in Edumasa, you don't fight near water bodies. You don't farm near water bodies. You don't put any.
You don't what? You don't fight
near
water bodies?
Yeah, you don't fight near water bodies. So even if somebody abuses you or do anything, you must leave the water body and probably find him in a neutral ground and fight. You are not allowed to put any foreign material in the water other than the calabash. No foreign material goes in the water. So if you sit back and think, oh, it was heathenism, it's not.
This is what our chiefs have been known to be doing to protect our water bodies. And we can do that now,
no,
still.
We should.
We will not be having what we are seeing.
At all. Samson, no, you see, a chief worth your salt. A chief worth your salt. Other than somebody who has clandestinely sneaked into the jungle somewhere which is far out of reach, there's no way a chief should be driving out of his town. And you look to the left, there's an excavator. You look to the right, there's an excavator on your land, and you just drive past. It should never. There's no excuse. Something. As far as chieftains,
I'm coming to the DCEs.
Yeah.
But Nana, I've been speaking to some of them, and I just mentioned what some have been telling me. They feel helpless because the people behind the Galamsey are rich. They have ammunition. If you report them, sometimes they actually catch them. They mobilize young people to help them catch them. They apprehend them. They hand them to police. The next minute, they are back. And once they are back, you are the one they will terrorize. To the point that they feel that even at the courts, judges are compromised. And I'm sure in the course you hear some of the stories about how some of them, the disappointments they feel, in some cases together with police officers, where certain people are actually, they are a flight risk, they are a danger to community, and they take them to court. The next minute, they are granted bail.
Something. How would
you, the chiefs, you don't have district security, powers. So how will you be able to do this, even when those who have command over some security are afraid?
Admittedly, there may be. There's always a hand that may be bigger than you, the chief. But I'm saying, if somebody is digging the next side of your street, you're driving out of your town, and somebody has parked an excavator digging land there, how powerful is that person? Sometimes there's just little boys with wheelbarrows just driving to go and dig. How powerful are they than you, the chief?
But they are working for someone.
Well, then that person has to come. You see, again, it may be, I don't know how the chief has conducted itself, but if you're a chief and you have stamped your authority on the land to say, my friend, and I keep saying in Medumasa, you don't chop my tree, even if it is on your bed. I've told you, if you want to chop it, as soon as it grows, cut it off. But as soon as it grows into a tree, don't chop it. My assemblyman is doing an extension. He comes to meet the tree. I say, you saw the tree there when the extension was coming. Leave my tree. My Jasehine, my Mbrantehine, I took that. You see, but you must be prepared to go against the grain. And as for enemies, if you are scared of getting enemies, you will lose the fight. If you're scared, look, I took some people to court. The DCE called me, Nana, some tree cutting case have come to me and I'm pleading that you stop it. I said, no, the court will sort it out. So I go against the DCE. My paramount chief calls me. I said, Nana, I beg you. I have to stop because you have said. But if I stop it, I have set a precedent. Everybody now knows that you are my last straw. So if they chop my tree, they will find a way to come back to you. So let me prosecute this guy. And I took it. And that's how I was able to stop it. And I got enemies.
Well, in the midst of all of this, we have been hearing some rather refreshing and reassuring stories. We've heard about a Queen Mother. We've heard about a number of chiefs who are doing great work in their, call it small places, where the water is still in the state that Nana Sakwa describes. It says in mint condition. Mint condition. Yes. So let's come to the DCEs and have some conversation and begin to appreciate what it is that their difficulties are. And I'll begin with Francis Kwesi Bonzo, who is the District Chief Executive of Elembele, a place where, there's also mining going on. Now, it's come to a point where even the experts have been telling the president that your only sure bet to end Galamsey is to sack DCEs who are in these jurisdictions where Galamsey is going on. What do you say to that?
Just 1 second. How come Town A is suffering from Galamsey, and then in the same district, just 2 towns, they don't have any Galamsey there?
Even though there's gold there.
There's gold there.
Yes.
So Town A is suffering, but Town B or Town C, let's say Town C, is not suffering from Galamsey. How is that possible?
Okay. So Barack Obama was not exactly correct when he came to Africa and to Ghana and spoke about needing strong institutions, not strong men.
Thank you. Let me say good morning to your listeners. And today happens to be the 9th birthday of my daughter.
Oh, okay.
So, Lady Isabel Titibia Bonzo, let me wish her a very happy birthday. And as a father, I have very high expectations of her. I hope she'll grow to become a lawyer like
Great.
like yourself.
Let's
but
pray.
the issue of Galamsey, it's a very complex socioeconomic, now politicized phenomenon, which if we don't, as a country, come together and then find a concerted effort, it will swallow all of us. It's quite simplistic for people to say, oh, Mr. President, sack your MMDCs because Galamsey is going on in their district. Why do I say so? I have been a victim of that call. Since I became a DC in 2017 and I started this Galamsey fight, I've done 18 anti-Galamsey operations in my district. Led to several arrests of the financiers, of the boys, of chiefs, of several actors. But there's one thing I've come to know. The actors in this Galamsey business, they are so powerful and so well connected because it's a lot of money. The local economy, if you come to my district, probably next to the big mining company there, Galamseyers are the one who have, they are very liquid. So if you arrest one Galamseyer and it's in police custody, and they know that you are the DCE that led the arrest, and in most of my operations, I actually lead it, lead the team of DISEC, and we go and then arrest them.
You are not alone. I know a few people who do that.
Yes. The number of calls that you receive transcends political lines. MPP people will call you, NDC people will call you, influential people in society, chiefs will call you, clergy, imams, everybody calls you, speaking on behalf of the arrested Galamseyer. So you ask yourself, we all know the effect of the negative effect of Galamsey on our environment. So how come that when you arrest a Galamseyer, everybody wants to intervene on his or her behalf? That is where the problem, I think, comes from. Because it appears there's a lot of compromise, like we said earlier on, in the system. Such that whilst we know that Galamsey is destroying our environment, is destroying our water bodies, we prefer to turn a blind eye and allow it to go on because of some economic benefit that gets to us. So it becomes very difficult for you as a DCE. Of course, we are chairpersons of various DISECs or MUSECs in our districts, in the mining districts. By which case, we have the police, we have immigration, we have the BNI, we have all the security agencies under us working together. You go and do a Galamsey operation, you arrest Galamseyers. It could be the financier, the boys, or anybody. The next thing you do is that you hand over to the police, who then process them for court. At that stage, it's off your hand. You have nothing, no control over it. And I will give a very classic example here. There's a town called Telekubukazo in my district. Somewhere early 2021, it came to our attention that right in the center of town, Galamsey activity was going on. So I convened a DISEC meeting on Sunday.
Nana, why are we surprised when you say in the center of town? Because we have seen Galamsey in the compounds of homes, actually in bedrooms. Yes, go on.
So I called a DISEC meeting because it's quite serious. So on a Sunday, trying to strategize how we'll go and then do an operation on a Monday. On that Sunday at the DISEC meeting, my divisional commander says, on that Monday that I'm planning the operation. There's a certain funeral in a certain town why the police have been asked to attend, so they will not have enough men for the operation. So we should postpone it. Then I come home, I call my regional minister, that, Honorable Minister, this is a problem that we are facing. The Galamsey is going on right in the center of town, and it's so bad that we need to move. So he advises, and this is Honorable Kobna Ochidaku Mensah, who has also recently been accused of being behind Galamsey, because it's an easy target for politicians to be targeted. He advises that, look, call another dissect meeting on Monday morning. And this time, don't mention that you are going for an operation. Right from the dissect meeting, move your entire dissect to the operation site and then go and do the operation. So I call another dissect meeting Monday morning. I have all my divisional commander, district commander, crime officer, all in attendance. Then I send the BNI officer to go to the site, to go and wreck it, to find out what the operation they are doing their Galamsey. He sent me a message while the meeting is going on that they are there, 2 excavators. So immediately I direct that let's go to the site. And that site is just a few kilometers away from the office. So we move from my office to the Galamsey site. And the video is there, maybe your producers may want to show it. Then we find 2 excavators busily working in a bridge that is being constructed to connect the old site to a new site. Immediately I see, I realize that this is a Galamsey operation. So I shout at the commander, Commander, arrest him, arrest him. Then we arrest the financier, not the main person.
Better.
Yes. So we arrest him, hand him over to the police. That night, I had to switch off my phone. The number of calls that were coming, everybody speaking on behalf of the Galamsey. I said, no, I won't do it. So we detain him in the police stairs in Crawford and then process him for court the next day, 24th of
Remember,
March.
it's police. You don't have any control there. So don't say we, they.
Because I was a complainant, so I took a state.
That's all you do. You are
Yes,
done. Your job
exactly.
is done. You can't dictate
So
what
on
goes
the 24th of March, they go to court. And then the chief of the town appears in court to testify on behalf of the Galamsey that they are not doing Galamsey. And that and this is the record of proceedings I have here. The chief says he gave them the order to do the certain and that they are not doing Galamsey. So because I wasn't present in court, the judge, who didn't know the fact, then instruct that they should go back and continue the deserting under the supervision of this assembly. Because the project was for the development of the town. I get wind of it. So the next adjourned court date, 7th April, I will go to the court myself with my BNI officer. And once the case is called, I raise up my hand. The lawyer didn't want me to speak because obviously he knows that I'm coming to throw a bombshell. Then I insist. So the magistrate gives me the respect, out of respect, as being a DCE, because like you said, I have no hand in the case.
You don't have right of audience, actually.
Exactly. But
Because it's the state that is prosecuting, and it's the prosecutor who has audience with the court. It is the prosecutor who must decide that they need to bring you in as a witness or something of the sort. But because you were the complainant,
Yes.
you could be allowed.
Exactly. So the magistrate allowed me. Then I made a case that they were not doing the certain, that I led the arrest, that they were actually doing Galamsey. They had a washing plant right there, and there's a video to that effect, which I can provide to the court. So then the magistrate now understands the case and said, okay, in that case, then the previous order that they should go continue with the deserting
Has been vacated.
Yes, and that the matter should be referred to ADR because it became an issue between me and the chief exchanging words in court, in open court. So you have a DCE in court exchanging.
This is a big criminal issue. Why should he go to ADR?
That's another matter. So the matter goes to ADR. So these are some of the challenges that we face in this whole Galamsey fight. In the most recent one that also became a public issue with regards to the missing excavators.
Right.
I was in Accra on the 30th of August when I got wind that some Galamseyers have entered a school land, my former school in Crawford Secondary School, and then they were devastating the land without. So I immediately, and the police normally, they want you to have official complaint before they will act. So because I was away, I instruct a member of the district mining committee, which is a constitutional body mandated to stop illegal mining. And then the other members of DISEC, the immigration officer, the BN officer, On that same day, 30th August, they go to the site. They stop the Galamseyers. Of course, they don't have powers of arrest. They don't have the coercive powers of the state, so they couldn't do any arrest. But they stopped the Galamseyers because when they asked them to provide their concession, they do have no concession. They have no paper. They have no agreement to do small-scale mining. So which means it's illegal activity. So they could stop them. They stopped them. They asked them to park the excavators in the nearby community, the same Telkom Council, because that's where there's a Galamsey hotspot. The next day, 9 o'clock, they go and find that the excavators are there, packed nicely. I asked them to take pictures. You know, excavators, you can't drive them. You can only move them on the low bed. Once again, I called the regional minister, who says, because by our line of reporting, you need to report to the RegSec, who says, okay, this thing is becoming too much. Bring the machine to secondary so that Attorney General's office will take over. Because normally at the district level, it becomes very difficult dealing with them. So we're looking for low bed to transport the excavators to secondary for the Attorney General Department to take over and deal with the matter. In the process, we realized that it's difficult getting a low bed, so we informed the police. The BNI officer and the member of the planning, the district mining committee, goes to the police station to request for men to protect the excavators until a low bed is found, so that then it can be transported to secondary. They released 2 men, 2 constables, who are driven in the car of the BNI officer. They go and hand over the excavator. Like, look, this is where the excavator is parked. It's right by the roadside. It's so conspicuous. At 6 p.m., the police leave. The next morning, the excavator is gone. We can't find it. So myself, I go to the divisional commander's office. I say, Commander, the very reason why we came to you to look for security over the excavators is what has happened. We anticipated that it's possible that the owners might come for it. Knowing Galamseyers as they are, let us find the excavators, because the excavators cannot just get missing. The commander says, I'm blaming the police. I said, no, I'm not here to blame the police. It's our duty. All of us, there's a collective responsibility. We cannot go and arrest excavators from a mining site in the bush, bring it to town, and the next moment, it's gone. That becomes a tussle between myself and the police. Eventually, I'm arrested twice. One in my district, after which, on the 1st of September, when the news broke out, because they say I had published false news, that I'm accusing the police of not taking good care of the excavators. So I'm arrested Friday in my district as chairman of DCEs. The police take my statement, and the next day they issue a statement that instead of finding the excavators, I am the one under investigation. The very person on whose instruction the excavators were arrested, that got missing, that I complained to the police. So I'm arrested, and then the police statement is that the excavators are with me. I never handed over the excavators to the police. So now I have to be a subject of investigation. So okay, I know my hands are clean, so I'm not worried. Let's go into the investigation. Then 1 week later, obviously I've set people in the constituency to look for the excavator, because we had the details. When we arrested it, we took pictures, videos, which I handed over to the police. 1 week later, I get a tip-off that a similar excavator was on a low bed being transported out of my district to a destination that I don't know. As a police escort. I just go drive my car to go and take a video, because in the first instance, it was my word against the police word. So this time I wanted evidence that it's the same excavator. So I just go and take that evidence. In the process, I'm arrested again. And then the police now issues a statement that whilst they retrieved the excavator, I obstructed, I organized and led talks. And the talks they're talking about are my driver, the member of the mining committee who arrested the excavator in the first place, who is also a subject of investigation. Fortunately, the excavator has been found. The second one has been found. It's almost 2 months. The owner of the excavators cannot be arrested. So we're happy to arrest the DCE who is fighting Galamsey, but the owners of the excavators cannot be arrested.
That reminds me, what has happened to that case?
It's in the hands of the police. So we are now all waiting for...
Did they ever, after the bail, have they done anything to it in the courtroom?
No.
Nothing has happened?
Nothing. Initially, they were going to charge me for obstruction, but I think when they saw the evidence that I had, the video and everything, there was nothing in the video that showed that I was obstructing the police.
I'm interested in something. You said that they demand a formal complaint before they will act.
Yes. In most of
what do you mean by formal complaint?
Formal complaint that you go to the police station and they lodge a complaint.
You must write something.
Yes.
Before they will act.
Yes. So even in the recent one.
And I'm asking this because I'm surprised. As a lawyer, I've been called many times by people who need a lawyer to be with them because somebody simply called police on phone or went to a police station and made a statement without writing anything. The next minute, police were in front of either their shops or their home to arrest them. And you are talking about Galamsey, which you are working in concert with the security, and you are the DCE.
Yes.
And yet when you pick a phone and say, come here because there are people that are doing something, there's crime, they want you to come and write formally.
Yes, that's what has always happened.
Very strange.
Yes. And even in the most recent case, which led to the missing excavators, the police never acted on the day because they were waiting for an official complaint. The BNI officer gave them the headmaster's number, the headmaster who raised the alarm. So they called him and they didn't get him and they were waiting for him. So I called the headmaster that go and make an official complaint to the police. Meanwhile, when they went to the site, when the immigration, the BNI, and then the member of the mining committee went there, the level of devastation within 48 hours was so much that we couldn't have just allowed them to continue whilst waiting for.
You say you have done in excess of 18 anti-Galamsey operations
in my district.
Operations. How much does it cost to do one?
Normally, you have dissect. So we bring in the first operation. We had to bring in the BNI, EPA. That was on the 10th of August 2019. That was the very first operation. That day, the EPA officer got his hand, the forefinger almost chopped off because one of the cutlasses that was being used just hit him. But by that time,
cutlass is being used by who?
By the Galamsey, it was on the ground. And then in the process, he fell and then it cut his hand. Now, when we arrest and we find excavators, you need to bring low bed. To get a low bed to take it, it costs a lot of money. One low bed costs about 8,000 to 10,000 now to transport an excavator. There are instances that I've brought Operation Vanguard team from Takwa to come and do operations in my district at a cost to the district. There are instances I've brought people from Secondary. There are instances I've even invited a regional minister and the regional security liaison officer to join me. In that case, too, we also arrested the financier who was arraigned before court in Secondary, Circuit Court, Takwadi.
Speaking to some of your colleagues, yes, I get the impression that unless you are fortunate as a DCE to have Operation Vanguard, team at your place, it means if you have to call for police and say military support, then it will be at your cost as the assembly.
Exactly.
And yet, you don't have the money.
That's the unfortunate situation we find ourselves. But as MMDCs, we face numerous challenges in the fight against Galamsey.
Okay.
That's why sometimes when people simplify it that, you have to be fired, they don't understand what we go through.
I'll return to you, and remember that as he speaks, he talks about going with Forestry Commission, EPA officials. All these people are supposed to be within these communities, doing their work, ensuring that illegal mining doesn't go on. Why is it that, in spite of their presence, it still goes on? So the regulators also must answer some questions. Let's speak to Ignatius Asar Mensah. He's District Chief Executive for Mpoho District. Mpoho is also another place. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
You are welcome.
Great. Give us an idea, how is mining like in your area? How widespread is it?
Good morning, and thank you for bringing me onto your program. I would say greetings to your viewers or your listeners too as well. Sorry, I have some cold, so I'll try as much as possible to make myself laudable.
Thank you.
Poho, like any other mining district, has its own also problem in relation with Galamsey Menace. As when you come to Poho, let me try to explain the activities as it pertains in my area, which may also be same in other areas. We have other type who specifically works on the river and the streams. As for them, some of them call them shooting. Some of them, they also, in our local language, call them to because they are the sound of their machines. They basically work on the river. Then we have the other type that mimic the old type where people dig. They use their shovel and dig. The women carry, and then they go to grind, and then they try to wash. That one without any mechanized machines. Then we have the most devastating one, which involves the excavators. And mostly that is what Nana and the Otumfuo in particular have said. They are the financiers. You go to meet the people on the ground. As for them, they are just survivors. The financiers are not always on the side. These are the three categories that are going on so far as Mpoho is concerned. My concentration most often has been those on the river and those using the excavator. And on the river, in fact, the dangers involved in getting to where the Galamseyers themselves are operating at times, it scares you if you want to involve yourself in getting them arrested, because they themselves know that the things that they are doing are illegal. Mm-hmm. They try as much as possible to create some barriers, to create some hazard on the way, which you, the one chasing them, may not know. And in case you rush into it, you are caught by chasing them, and then they will then run away. So there are many times that whenever we get a hint, and they do it in areas where it is also difficult at times, especially those that do it on the rivers. That one I'll spare the owners of the land, because most often they go to the areas without the knowledge of the owners of the rivers. And the owners of the land whose property is near the river. Many times it is these owners whom, when they get to their farms, they call me to give me the information. And we also take steps to get closer to the places. You try to chase them, you try to get the information, you go to the area, and before you realize, most of them have run away. But as they run away, the machines that they use, we also find means to destroy some of them. Then you come to those that are doing the shovel and pickers thing. Those shovel and pickers thing, I would also shift some of the blame to the large-scale companies who are not going by their corporate social responsibilities. Because there are, if you come to Mpoho, about 80% of the land is being given on concession. Concession that, as the recent discussions has revealed, that Nananum are not aware, the DCE get to know at the last end when a gazette comes to him to inform him that this person has been given a concession without you even seeing the person behind the concession.
When you say about 80% of the land, are you talking about?
No, the 80% of the district land surface, because I have some portions of the land being a concession for Hotopo concession, and other part to belongs to Achempe Mines concession. And this large-scale concession always impedes the effort of getting community license for people to do, because whenever you want the ministry or the Minerals Commission to cede part of their concessions for you to be able to get community a license for the people to do community mining, it becomes difficult because they say it belongs to them. Meanwhile, too, they are not mining the site. They will not mine the site. They have left the site there, and it is their concession, and you are not allowed to go on that concession, and therefore people are forced to, and those things perpetuate illegality. Now, those that use the excavators, as for the excavators, definitely they go to the community, they buy the land from either it is a family land or it is two land. If it is a family land, the owners of the community, they sell their land actually to them, and as they sell the land to them, they go to mining. Now, the difficulty of a DCE is that because these people knows that they are doing illegality, they would want to find means to get to an authority to sort of say they are being protected. Now, when they see that, they come to the DC, somebody will be a middleman, will go and so when you go to the DC, he will not agree or ask for DC. You go and then he will say that to ask for DC, as Prime Minister, he say that he will not protect you, so he will let them come and arrest you. Now, so somebody being a ghost middleman.
Right, so hold on, just briefly for me. The footage you are watching now is the footage that the DC for Elembele, Mr. Bonzo, has been referring to. That's part of the, work that's been going on in his area and the videos that he's showing. Where is this particularly? This is Anya.
So the Galamseys were arrested in 4th March 2020, election year.
Okay.
And when they arrested about 7 excavators. They had caused severe damage to the area. And then they told him that...
This one, is it a river or what? Some water body that's being covered or something?
It's a river that they were mining in.
Oh, they were mining in it?
In the river.
Okay.
And they had devastated the entire environment there. So when we arrested them, we put them before court. And then the condition was that they should take the machines back to do reclamation. These are some of the chiefs. I took the chiefs to the site.
Okay.
So we sent, these are low bed that we had hired, I am the one in the vest, hired the low bed to carry the excavators to the police station. Now we sat down with them that you cannot do this damage and go scot-free.
All right.
So go back and then reclaim the land. So you realize that they are now doing the reclamation. So I got them to reclaim over 4 to 5 acres of the land that they had destroyed.
I see.
And this one, and it is a particular operation that we went to arrest the right in the center of town. This is Telekubukazo.
All right.
And if you watch the footage, incidentally, the division commander's house was just at the other side. That issue also came up. That's the building there. Up there.
Right.
So that's the division commander's house there.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
The Galamsey is happening right in front of his house.
Right behind.
Oh, no.
About 130 meters away.
And there are also homes right there.
There are homes right there.
That's what you mean by center of town.
Yes, and this is the financier of the Galamsey who was arrested. So I had to shout in the video, that, Commander, arrest him, that's my official car. So it was this man who was arrested, and that we sent to Nkrofo police station, and then to the Axim Magistrate Court. And then the chief comes.
So that's his SUV up there?
Yeah, there's a police car. That's my SUV.
Okay.
That, the white one.
Okay.
So that's a police car. So he's been
he's taken into the police car.
But you see, he has all his boys working. So these are the members of DISEC and myself who went to do the operation. So then we sent him to this last year, 24th March, 22nd March. We sent him to court on the 24th March. And then the chief comes in and then testifies on his behalf.
Which chief is that?
From Telekubukazo. The very town where the Galamsey is going. So this is the challenges that we face.
And he is saying that he gave the land to him to do what?
To desilt.
Desilt what?
You see, there was a bridge that was being constructed to connect the old site to the new site. Adamus, there's a big mining company, had resettled them in the new site. So there's a river, and this river is called River Broma. When I was in school years, I used to swim in this river.
Okay.
Like Nana said, mint. It was in mint condition. Now it's gone.
What has desilting got to do with digging up other places?
That is why I write to the court the next day to tell the court that that's a washing machine.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that when there's a washing machine here,
you are using it to desilt.
So these are the challenges.
The chief saw all of this before he went to court.
Sure.
He's aware.
Well, that is between. But that is the challenges that we face in this fight.
The prosecution is going on.
The matter went out of court,
That's why you spoke about alternative
yes,
resolution.
yeah, because the chief was involved.
Oh, mine. Oh, no.
So if you are not careful, you are also accused of having a bad relationship with your chiefs. Because, it's a chieftaincy, it's an institution. You can't just go after them. So in my experience is that the chief...
No, you see, someone who has the privilege of being a chief and does things like this, you don't say that person ought to be accorded any honors and courtesies because we revere our chiefs. Do you get it? We revere our chiefs. But once you step out of tune, you are out of place.
But now we are also politicians. I have been a 3-time parliamentary candidate. So when you're dealing with a chief, and it's a big town, as a huge population, you've got to be careful. Because that is where the issues come in. So in this case, I insisted that they should do reclamation.
Right.
So the Council of State visited my district, and I took them to this very location. And then the chairman of the Council of State, seeing the level of devastation, made an appeal to the president that, look, we should help MMDCs and MMDAs to reclaim some of these lands.
We'll return to you because we want the DCEs, as they tell us their stories, we want them to tell us also practically what they are doing by themselves, and then how much of what they are doing is effective before we come to be able to make a reasoned, judgment as regards the calls for DCEs in these areas to be sacked. Of course, we know that it's not all the DCEs that are at the forefront championing the anti-Galamsey fight. There definitely are some of them who are complicit. And I want to share this briefly, not to say that I am passing judgment on this DCE. You remember the DCE for Bosome Frehu district. We are informed that His Excellency the President has directed the suspension of Mr. Yao Danso, District Chief Executive for the Bosome Frehu District Assembly, with immediate effect, pending investigations into his alleged engagement in illegal mining, that's Galamsey activities. And this is supposed to be a letter under the hand of Daniel Boche, MP. And he says, in view of the above, you are requested to provide oversight responsibility for the management and administrative issues concerning the district until further notice. I count on your cooperation in this regard. Daniel Boche, MP, Minister, and it's to the Honorable Regional Minister, Regional Coordinating Council, Ashanti Region, Kumasi, and also sent to other persons as well. So this will be a nice place to pause. We'll go back to Impoho to continue the discussion there, but let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.